Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, June 21st, 2017. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. All public servants in this country must be made pensionable. That's the sentiments coming from President of the Public Service Union, Elroy Boucher, as he spoke at a media conference on Tuesday afternoon discussing various issues relating to the public service. Boucher stated that many public servants face the prospects of having to give more years of service in order to be qualified for pension or face the prospect of losing their pension benefits, a situation he said has presented a serious strain for many.
Hope that we will be able to get a package that will ensure that public officers upon retirement can live comfortably. The OAS Pension Commission report would have stated that to live comfortable, public officers need to retire on a pension of no less than 80%, just 80% of whatever their final salary is or the calculation is. That is important. So it is important for us to ensure that that is the case. And it is important for the union to be engaged in this process in order to protect the rights and the benefits of public officers. We have always been of the view that all public servants must and should be pensionable.
Speaking on the reform conducted in 2013, which saw non-pensionable public servants having to give more years of service in order to receive benefits from the National Insurance Service, the NIS, Boucher said this is also a constraint for some who often have to live from paycheck to paycheck, noting that the union will be seeking legal measures to have this situation corrected.
There is no social protection net for those persons. And when this reform was done, somebody failed to take into account all of these workers. Because if you were born after 1964, you have to go, you cannot get your NIS pension until you are 65. When persons retire, they expect to get their pension upon retirement. They don't expect to wait 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 years. And so the union has decided that it will look into every possible way in which this situation can be rectified. We will speak with our lawyers and see if it is possible to seek a legal redress to this matter.
Addressing the issue of productivity, Boucher disagrees with those who state that public servants are not productive, noting that public officers continue to perform their duties even with limited resources.
Productivity is really a measure of output over input, and one would rationalize that over the years governments have been reducing the expenditure in different ministries and departments. In other words, public officers have been asked to do more with less. If you are doing more with less, it tells me mathematically that you are being productive. Yeah? And furthermore, just like the prison officers, when you have to work that hard and go beyond the call of duty, what do you call that? See, and when you look at how nurses work, Ministry of Finance, most of the ministries, which is not to say that there are persons who may not, in the minority, be slackers.
And Public Service Week of Activities, which commenced here on Monday, culminates this Friday, June 23rd, with a panel discussion at the Peace Memorial Hall beginning at 9 in the morning. The discussion will be held under the theme, How Do We Accelerate innovation in public service delivery in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The forum will bring together a group of 5 experienced and competent professionals from the public and private sector and civil society to share their knowledge and professional perspectives, contributing towards innovative ideas for public service modernization and transformation. Public servants and other members of the general public are invited to the discussion. The announcement and distribution of the Customer Service Excellence Awards will follow the discussion. In other news, operator of BDS Nice Radio, Douglas De Freitas, is of the view that his station is being targeted with heavy-handedness by those in authority. De Freitas told SVG-TV News today that contrary to what some may think, the 19-year-old radio station is not a political entity, but is a society-based FM station which is national, interactive, concerned, and enlightening. De Freitas said that as a radio announcer, commentator, he has a strong conviction to speak up on issues such as injustice, which he believes causes some of the backlash he and the station have been receiving.
When the New Democratic Party was in office, I criticized them. It seemed how now that it is sacrilege to criticize Gonzalez and the Unity Labour Party. I mentioned even this morning on the radio that I used to entertain, even as an NDP supporter, I used to entertain Gonzalez on my morning program. They are the ones who stopped coming here. And you know, radio has evolved, everybody is into their own style of radio, and you have political radio. Nice Radio is not a political radio. It has political programs. I have social views, and they cross and boundary into the politics because I'm a vocal person with respect to these issues. Unfortunately, in this era of the last 17 years or so, it's an administration that is hostile towards democracy. And with that hostility towards democracy, one have to understand the consequences of taking the stance which a person like myself stand.
De Freitas admitted that like any other media house, there will be blunders made and that he does his best to rectify matters and believes he should have been given the opportunity to apologize or pay the monies in installment the station owes to the Prime Minister for a libel suit he won against the station 5 years ago.
As I said, there are things that happen on Nice Radio. I agree. I never agree with them being spoken. And history can tell you that I have intervened several times and tell persons you cannot do those things. So to come after me personally, because if you attack Nice Radio, which I own and the company, and I don't have the capacity to pay these large sums of money, then you are attacking me personally, because my ability to survive as a human being and take care of my family goes to naught. And I'm saying go after the persons who speak these things. I am willing to apologize any and every time. I said it publicly, so you can't say I never said it. I'm willing to apologize. Give me the opportunity to apologize before you take me to court. But that has never been done. It's always with a prerequisite of a large sum of money, of which I am unable to pay. And when judgments come, give us an opportunity to pay it in monthly installments. That's all I'm asking.
De Freitas expressed gratitude to all who have responded to the pledge to raise monies to save the radio station and called on Vincentians to protect democracy.
Look at my lifestyle. I live no fancy lifestyle. I care very little about the material things. I, just like any human being, would like to provide decent living for my family. But what has happened to us and what is happening to us as a nation and what has happened to me as a man who believes in the democratic right, it is questionable about the motive of the administration. But so I thank all those who are supporting. I pray, God, that we could sustain ourselves and that good conscience would prevail in the leadership of this country so as to remove some of these kinds of hammer that is being held over our heads so that we can speak freely and responsibly.
This country's Minister of Economic Planning, Camilo Gonzalez, told the Organization of American States, OAS, not to lose focus when carrying out its duties. Addressing the plenary session of the 47th General Assembly of the OAS on Monday in Mexico, Gonzalez pointed out that some institutions masquerade themselves under reform and streamlining, yet they only conduct what he termed as lip service and called for greater action from the organization.
In dealing with the new challenges of the day, we sometimes lose sight of the forest for the trees, and inexorable mission creep poses the danger of departing from founding charter principles or producing an organization whose modern purposes would be unrecognizable to its founding fathers. The proliferation in recent years of alternative, complementary, or competing hemispheric bodies speaks to both changing times and growing queries about the legitimacy and raison d'etre of the OAS in this period of its institutional dotage, and Grenada alluded to this point. The solution to this sense of organizational drift is succinctly captured in the theme of this General Assembly: strengthening dialogue and concerted action for prosperity. This theme speaks to founding first principles of this organization: dialogue, action, not rhetorical excess, taken in concert, not unilaterally, and the pursuit of prosperity for our collective peoples.
Gonzalez pointed out that action must be taken within the confines of law and not under the guise of human rights.
To St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the answer is self-evident. The OAS is and must remain a body animated by development, peace, and cooperative action, acting within the confines of international law. St. Vincent and the Grenadines notes with concern a concerted attempt to use the admirable and necessary pursuit of human rights within our hemisphere in a manner that seems destined to produce nakedly political outcomes, whether by design or as an unintended consequence of well-meaning activism. We note also that the more prosperous the advocate, the more narrowly and esoterically it defines human rights and the subgroups that merit its attention. But to the peoples for whom the right to education, the right to housing, the right to decent work, the right to health, the right to safety, and the right to not be rendered stateless are still urgent and immediate issues, the definition of human rights is necessarily broader.
The Economic and Planning Minister also sounded the need for the OAS to be fair in its deliberation and also address different issues which needs to be tackled to push further development among member states.
It is in this manner and under this rubric that St. Vincent and the Grenadines hopes that the OAS confronts human rights, not as a box to check or a matter to be confronted in isolated and selective silos, but as a cross-cutting and multifaceted ideal rooted in development to which we must all earnestly strive, despite the individual shortcomings that we all, without exception, experience. Similarly, the unevenness of our advocacy on equally important and equally egregious regional human rights violations, like, for example, our shameful paralysis on the violated rights of thousands of people of Haitian descent, councils level heads when confronted with the urge to chase headlines down the rabbit hole of institutional paralysis.
And Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has written to his CARICOM colleagues, warning that there are plans to sow seeds of discord among member states on the situation in Venezuela. In the letter dated June 16, 2017, PM Gonsalves appealed to CARICOM to stand resolutely behind their declaration made at the conclusion of a meeting held on May 29, 2017, in which they reaffirmed their shared commitment to representative democracy, the rule of law and constitutional order, among other guiding principles. PM Gonsalves made it clear that only heads of states and government of CARICOM possesses the authority to amend or rescind authoritative decision of the heads, noting that any attempt to go back on their promise will render CARICOM a laughing stock and make its heads' decisions subject to wholly unacceptable ambassadorial reconstruction. PM tells his colleagues that SVG sees no need to change the declaration since the circumstances in Venezuela are the same today as they were on May 29, 2017, and that Venezuela should be allowed to resolve their intense political conflicts or challenges internally without unwarranted meddling. The Girls High School 2017 Young Leaders Group today was announced the winner of the RBTT Young Leaders Program for 2017. The winning Young Leaders Group received the award of distinction at a prize-giving ceremony at the Peace Memorial Hall. At the awards ceremony, students were reminded of the benefits of participating in the program. Nalisha Miller tells us more in this report.
Girls High School 2017 Young Leaders Program today were overjoyed as they were announced the winners of the 2017 RBTT Young Leaders Program and received the award of distinction. The young leaders displayed acts of volunteerism through several projects and community works as they were guided under the central theme, I Am We, Volunteering for Impact. The award of excellence went to second place, the Georgetown Secondary School, while the award of merit went to third place, the St. Vincent Grammar School. Acknowledging the significance of this year's theme, country manager of the RBTT Bank, Fleur Nichols, said it was a unique way of encouraging teamwork.
We all have a dependence on others, one way or the other. And that is what this year's theme focused on, the undeniable fact that we all need each other. Volunteerism is key in nurturing the we behaviors such as engagement, collaboration, self-giving, and unity. Each of you had a unique and creative perspective and insight on volunteerism to make a substantial and lasting difference to a group or your community.
Representing the Ministry of Education, Keith Glasgow applauded the collaboration between the RBTT Bank Caribbean Limited and the Ministry of Education while stressing the importance of the Young Leaders Program.
Becoming a young leader is paramount for many of the young ones sitting here because you are taking on the mantle of leadership in the future. You are here to replace those of us who have either gone out or on our way out. So you have to take this role very seriously. So what are some of the benefits of being a young leader? Let me just mention a few of them. One, all the students who are involved in the Young Leadership Program have developed a wealth of knowledge and experience that they would not have gained before. It's an opportunity for you to establish friendships. Long-lasting friendships. It's a way of increasing your civic knowledge. Many of you did not know about several institutions in this country. And when I looked at the projects, you went to the Louis Punit Home, you went to the mental asylum.
Delivering the feature address, lawyer Julian Jack spoke on the significant evolution which has taken place with the Young Leaders Program over the past 37 years. Jack noted that participating in the program is not only an act of selflessness, but one that is rewarding.
It affords you a level of exposure to knowledge that you may not necessarily have while you pursue your academic careers in your various schools, because those are taught programs. They are designed to teach you certain skills, they are designed to give you certain tools, but when you come out of the classroom and you go into an environment outside of the classroom by way of your participation in the project, it allows you to have a different experience. So it adds to you in that sense. And it adds to you very meaningfully. What do I mean by that? It adds to you in a way in which you're able to gain knowledgeable and valuable experience that you may use in future, as a matter of fact, with respect to your career goals, your employment, and your prospect of employment in future.
13 schools participated in the 2017 Young Leaders Program. Nolisha Miller, The Evening News.
Under the theme Self-Care Management for Persons with Chronic Diseases, members of various diabetic and hypertensive groups attached to health centers across St. Vincent and Grenadines, as well as members of the Diabetes and Hypertension Association, were earlier today involved in a workshop hosted by the Ministry of Health in an effort to equip persons living with chronic diseases with the requisite skills to better manage their condition. Nikita Tony has more in this report.
To empower persons living with chronic diseases to learn skills that will further assist them to better manage their condition, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, hosted a one-day workshop here today, Wednesday, June 22nd at the Methodist Church Hall. Held under the theme Self-Care Management for Persons with Chronic Diseases, today's workshop, according to PAHO Country Representative Anik Wilson, is meant to build the participants so they can contribute to achieving a better quality of life for persons living with chronic diseases.
When community members understand how to manage simple conditions and complement the directives of healthcare personnel, better outcomes are achieved. Healthcare providers, as well as community members, need to be cognizant that there are barriers that can affect good health outcomes and plan strategies to combat them. This workshop will therefore help you to manage simple health problems and to detect when the problem is not so simple and you need healthcare personnel or somebody else to give you assistance.
Noting that the country has and continues to face challenges as it regards to non-communicable diseases or NCDs, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Cuthbert Knights, commended the participants for seeing it fit to partner with the ministry in tackling NCDs.
When we are having our discussions, our workshops, etc., especially when we are discussing interventions which can impact people's lives positively, we really need to speak to those persons. You being here tells me that you have a very keen interest in your health and well-being, and you are actually serious and interested in ensuring your health and well-being as well.
Knights further urged the participants to become fully engaged in the day's proceedings as they are being graced with the opportunity to be better positioned to not only care for themselves, but the overall community that deals with NCDs.
So we are hosting this workshop today to tell you what skills you can utilize to help you manage chronic diseases. These are diseases, these are conditions that can impact very seriously on your life. You want to enjoy your life with your family, with your friends, your loved ones, you have to be able to manage your own condition.
As the ministry aims to tackle the burden of non-communicable diseases here in SVG, it is expected that the workshop will aid in enabling persons with chronic conditions to be better equipped to utilize the necessary skills in managing their illness. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.